talked about Tiger. What do you think of the TGL?
I don't really understand the draw to it. Like, I understand what they're trying to do, get more people to be into golf. It's much shorter, more relaxed, casual kind of thing. I'm always going to want to see golf on a golf course.
Ricky Fowler, Victor Hovland, like countless big names have been there. What was the experience like?
It's a pretty cool fraternity in a sense that no matter what level you're playing at, you kind of know guys out there, and when you need help, they're always around.
Do you think he wins one more, the PGA Tour? Or
It's kind of victory lap time in a sense. One of these days, it could just happen.
is there anything that you would like to see to grow the game around the world?
There's definitely, obviously, with live golf, people might not ever get to see Brooks Koepka in Singapore, Adelaide, or any of these places. So I think what they're doing is pretty good. I would like to see those tours kind of come back together.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to Aman Gupta, one of the most exciting talents in the game. Very happy to have you join us at Essentially Sports for Essentially Golf. Our readers are going to be super excited to have you. And start at the beginning, really. How did you fall in love with this sport, and how did you start on this incredible journey in golf?
Andrew, thanks for having me. Yeah, it was a weird thing. No one really in my family played golf, and the neighborhood that I grew up in Charlotte had a golf course in the neighborhood, and I was always into playing different sports and things like that. And I just told my dad one day, like, let's go play golf. And he had this old putter in the garage, and we didn't have any idea what we were doing. We grabbed the putter and went on. I think it was the 15th hole maybe, and we were just whacking putts around out of the bunker, out of the rough, just kind of just messing around. And for whatever reason, I really liked it and picked it up. And it's one of those things that kind of as soon as I started playing it, it was kind of natural to me. And from there, I just kept playing and just fell in love with it.
So you decided to forego your last year of college at Oklahoma State University, amazing university, and then turn pro. Big decision, but the right one, it seems. What was that like for you making that decision, and how's it going?
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of options that I had to weigh. With PGA Tour University and things like that, there's a lot more options coming out of school, to where, if you play well at that level, you're given a lot more opportunities coming out. And for me, I did graduate PGA Tour U. I didn't get into that at that time. It's top five. It's stretched out a lot more as it expanded the program, but um, I I just felt that I was just kind of ready at that point. I loved my time at Oklahoma State, and I felt like a lot of good things came out of it. But just as a whole, just more from a human being perspective, I was just kind of ready to do my own thing, and I felt like my game was ready. And so yeah, it was definitely not an easy decision, but felt like it was just kind of my time.
What was it like going to that university? I think, Ricky Fowler, Victor Hovland, like countless big names have been there. What was the experience like?
It was great. The alumni are usually, like, they would come back a fair amount. We have our pro-am every year. That's like our fundraising event that pretty much, most of the pros come back every year and play. So, play some golf with them and kind of, pick their brain a bit. And it's a pretty cool fraternity in a sense that, no matter what level you're playing at, you kind of know guys out there, and when you need help or, any advice or anything like that, they're always around. So it was definitely a really cool experience. And, even now it's still helpful if, whether you're struggling with something or, you're in a weird spot with something and you need some advice. Those guys are pretty much always there. And even some of the older guys like Bob Toy or Willie Wood, even those guys love to, give back and, help out where they can. So it's definitely really cool.
What were the biggest adjustments from going from amateur to pro?
Um, I think travel, like just the constant travel and kind of understanding your body and things like that were a huge adjustment, because in college, you might play 11 events a year, 12 events a year, and, they're kind of spread out. You know exactly when you're playing, where you're playing, you know, everything's kind of planned out for you in a sense. But then when you turn pro, obviously, like you have your agents and you have, your team in a sense that kind of help you with all of that. But when you're starting out, especially like if you're planning on exemptions and things like that, like you don't know when those are coming. So, it could be Saturday and you have to play in Denmark and be there Monday, and you pack up your stuff and you're on a plane the next morning. And then you might go on a stretch of playing 5, 6 weeks in a row. So there's definitely a learning curve, and you have to manage your body. You have a bad couple days, or you're on your fourth week. You can't really be banging balls for hours after every round. I mean, you just need your rest because your body just can't handle that. And I definitely think there's a big adjustment in just the lifestyle aspect of it, where you're just constantly you're constantly going, 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 and if you don't balance that out in the proper way, it's hard to play good golf, which at the end of the day is all that matters.
You guys have unbelievable mental strength. How do you keep that focus? Do you do anything to work on it? Does it come with experience? How does it work for you?
Uh, I think a lot of it, for at least for me, and I think for a lot of other guys, from a young age, you're always playing tournaments, like even as when you're a junior golfer. I mean, the summertime is crazy. You're playing, nonstop. And then even in the fall and spring, you still have a lot of events. And then kind of the same idea with college. So you're constantly used to playing tournaments and traveling, not to the extent that you should do in pro golf, but you kind of learn how to handle, the stress and just when things aren't going your way. And it's just kind of a lifelong skill of doing it for so long. But there's definitely times where, you're in these hotel rooms and God knows where, and things might not be going very well. And, just learning to kind of deal with that and, understand that golf isn't just a flat line, is definitely, there's definitely some learning to that, and, finding a way to kind of make peace with that.
You watch a lot, every golf movie, or I feel like there's a lot of, I don't know, popular understanding that golf is a metaphor for life in a lot of ways. Do you find that?
I definitely think so. I think you can definitely, there are things in your normal life that kind of relate to golf, and things in golf that relate to normal life. I think just, I mean, if you think about it in anyone's life, in any career, and whatever you do, there's ups and downs, right? Like nothing, if everything stayed great all the time, every human being would be the happiest person in the world, but it's not. And it's the same thing in golf. I mean, there's a lot of guys that have played phenomenal golf and they lose it for a little while, and then it comes back, and it's just this nonstop cycle of up and down and up and down. And I think if you can learn to accept that, then in life things don't go your way. You can learn to kind of accept it as well, because it's, you know nothing stays the same all the time, and it's the same thing with golf, and you see it with guys every single day.
I interview a lot of athletes, and often unbelievable self-belief is something that they have in common. You need to believe that you're the best to compete with the best, right? How do you understand that notion? You're playing on the European Tour right now. What's your aspirations? PGA Tour on the cards. What are your ultimate goals in this sport?
um I from the time that I was young, kind of with my dad, and my dad's always been a big motivator to me. And he asked me when I was young, what's my goal with golf? And I told him I want to be the best player in the world. And that honestly has never changed. That's always been what I play for. Obviously there's steps to that, PGA Tour, majors, etc. But that's always the underlying goal is how do I get to that position? And I think that'll always kind of be even when I do achieve that, I think that'll still be there'll be something new, whether it's a certain amount of majors or PGA Tour wins or whatever it is. And like you said, anyone who's great at this game believes they're the best in the world, and I've always I've always felt whether I'm playing well or not, or whether I actually am or not. Like there's never been a point where I've been around somebody or anything like that where I haven't felt like I'm the best player in the room. So that 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 confidence, or however whatever you want to call it, it's just what you need. And it can't be a fake, you know, I say it but I don't feel it kind of thing. So, but I've just kind of always believed that. And I think, you know, when you go through those bad times or good times or whatever it is, it's always there to kind of bring you back up when you need it.
You had a fantastic amateur career. Do you think that's one of the secrets to your success, that self-belief?
It can definitely, it's something to pull back on. I've gone through some struggles over the last couple of years with, swing stuff and injuries. And, I haven't played the golf that I know I'm capable of. And there's definitely been times where being able to pull on past success in my past career that I've been able to kind of, get in a better mindset. I think for anybody, just having any success in the past, like it's always something good to kind of look back on and, just give you a little bit more confidence when it might not all be there.
Who was the guy for you growing up? Did you have the gold standard who you looked up to in this sport?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same as pretty much everyone in my generation. I mean, Tiger Woods was, I mean, it's the greatest golfer who's ever lived, and just his mentality and the way he approached the game, and just how he was able to succeed and the level to which he succeeded was always super inspirational to me. And I mean, he's a big part of why I still play this game. So I mean, definitely Tiger.
What's the one Tiger moment that stands with you?
Probably the putt on 18 and Torrey Pines on the broken leg. I think that will always, just knowing, even obviously my injuries were nothing to the extent of what he was going through, but like even going through what I have and just realizing being able to win a US Open like that. Um, and what it all comes down to is it's all mental. Just being able to block all that aside and body be there or not. I'm gonna go win this U.S. Open. It will always just kind of give me goosebumps thinking about it or just seeing that flip. It was a pretty cool moment.
Do you think he wins one more on the PGA Tour, or do you think it's senior golf for him
Uh,
now?
I don't know. It's just tough with everything. You can never count him out just because he's done it so many times when people have counted him out. But I don't know, just after everything he's been through, and I think it's kind of victory lap time in a sense. But I'm not going to say that because I mean he's done it for so long, and as I've said, mentally he's so good that one of these days it could just happen. I honestly hope that it gets good for the game if he does, but um, I feel like it's the sun's setting on that, unfortunately, at this point.
Who do you like going into the Masters in terms of form? Who's your favorite?
Um, I mean, you can never count Scotty out. Um, Jeff Thompson has been playing some pretty good golf. Bryson's been playing some good golf. Brooks has obviously been doing well, and just always a problem in the majors. I don't really know. Like, to be honest with you, like I don't watch too much golf these days. I'm kind of just been grinding away, doing my thing, and trying to get where I want to go. But I mean, I'd probably just say Scotty, just because he's won everything there is to win in the last couple of years. It's been pretty hard to beat.
What's your favorite tournament?
Uh, I'd say probably the Masters. I mean, that's cream of the crop as it is for golf, and just everything about it. It's pretty incredible. I would definitely have to say the Masters.
We talked about Tiger. What do you think of the TGL? I feel like it's very modern, and a lot of sports we're seeing evolutions and new alternatives and initiatives that drive new kind of younger audiences. What do you make of it? What do you like about it?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I live in Palm Beach Gardens, so SoFi is just right down the road. So I've met some guys that have gone and seen it, and I've seen a little bit of it on TV, but I don't really understand the draw to it. Like, I understand what they're trying to do, but I mean, I think I'm a bad person to ask, like just being a golfer. So like I'm always gonna want to see golf on a golf course, and simulator golf just is what it is. I think there's definitely an aspect like it'll get more people to be into golf. It's much shorter, it's more relaxed, it's a more casual kind of thing. But I don't really get it. But that I don't think the viewership that I think they're just trying to bring in more guys to the game, which is great for golf. The more people watching, the better for all of us. But for me, it's not really my cup of tea.
Uh, what about Augusta? Do you play it often? Do you have a favorite hole?
No, I've never played it. I've had a couple opportunities, but I don't really my in my mind until I play Masters, I don't want to play it. Obviously, I had that chance at USAM back in college, but besides that, like that's something I've always kind of told myself is I won't play there until I played my first Masters, and I think that's kind of I'll always kind of stick by that no matter how old I get.
You said you weren't a fan of the TGL as such, just in terms of your taste, but is there anything that you would like to see to grow the game around the world?
Yeah, it's a good question. There's definitely, obviously, with live golf, there's become a bit of a divide, and what Liv's trying to do, I think, is actually great. Everyone's got different opinions. I think it's great for the game. From my perspective, you're going to all these countries with, the actual top players in the world where, people might not ever get to see Brooks Koepka in Singapore or, Adelaide or any of these places. So I think what they're doing is pretty good. I obviously I would like to see those tours kind of come PGA Tour and Live come back together. And maybe the PGA Tour kind of keep on with some of the schedule Live has so that they're going to some of these countries that they don't otherwise. I mean, even with the Asian Tour, with Live owning the Asian Tour and the international series events, like Bryson's going to play in India in a couple weeks and things like that. Like that would never have happened before. So I definitely think things like that are great for the game, just because golf is a pretty one-dimensional sport in most of the world. It's a rich man's game, so there's just not a lot of opportunity for people to play or get into it because it's just not very easily accessible. So I definitely think going to more of these countries and around the world and just showing the game to more people, just good for golf as a whole.
It's cool, Bryson going to India. I think it's awesome. And he's so good when it comes to content. His YouTube's so popular. How important is content and storytelling and sharing a little bit of who you are with the fans in terms of that way of growing the game?
I think it's great. Obviously Bryson's kind of really taken a big leap with that and just doing a lot of different content, things like that with golf, which I think is really cool. But I also think it has to be kind of the right person. I don't think you're ever going to get Patrick Cantlay to do YouTube videos, you know, and even if he did, would it be entertaining? Like, probably not. But I definitely think there is an aspect to that, where, you know, it brings in, you know, a younger fan base, it brings in more people that, you know, are just casual golf fans and you know, maybe they watch one of these Bryson videos and they become a really big Bryson fan, and you know that gets them way more into golf. You know that there's all kinds of things that I think golf as a whole can benefit from, and I definitely think like tour players and things like that doing content is good for golf.
Agreed. I think the fans always love to consume as much content as interesting around the game as possible. Speaking of which, we'll wrap up with a little quick fire, if that's okay with you.
Yeah,
So, if you weren't a golfer, what would you be doing?
hockey player.
Nice. What's the funniest or strangest thing that's happened to you on a golf course?
Um, Strange thing. I mean, probably getting hit by a golf ball.
Oh, no. Were you
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, no, I was fine. I mean, it didn't hit me very hard, but yeah, I can't think of anything else, honestly.
Okay, and if you could play one course for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oak Tree National.
If you could switch lives with any golfer for a day, who would it be?
Mm, Victor Hovland,
What's your favorite club in your bag?
driver.
What's your favorite golf-related TV show or movie?
Greatest game ever played.
And best player in the world right now?
Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah, we covered that a little bit. And who do you think's the most interesting up and comer?
Up and comer. Um, Say Luke Quanton.
And who's got the most beautiful swing in the game?
Roy McIlroy.
It's enduring. It's enduring.
Yeah,
He's been
yeah,
right up there for such a long time. Aman, I really appreciate your time. We're going to be watching your career with interest. We appreciate it, and it's good to see you. Thanks a lot.
yep. Thanks for having me.
You're the man. Maximum respect. All the best. Cheers.